Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unleashing Potentials podcast. Today's special guest is Karis. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome to the podcast. So happy to have you here.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
So, Karis, can you tell us whereabout are you tuning in from?
Northern Virginia. So it's just south of DC. We live in, it's called Lorton is where we live, but most
Oh,
people don't know where that is. So
I wouldn't know. No, I was asking you what is it known for? Um, yeah, because here we have snow, mountains, and geese.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean there's a lot of history here. Obviously there's you can pretty much go in any direction and find museums or historical landmarks and
Yeah.
lots to see if you like history.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. That's really cool. So, can you start by telling us who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm trying to think of where to start. Right, currently I am most of my time is taken up with being a mom. Honestly, I have four kids ages 3 to 13, which are each a blessing.
Mhm.
So I spend a lot of time with them. I also am a counselor, so I have a master's in counseling and am not currently practicing, but have done that in the past and probably will continue in the future.
Mhm.
And then I also do writing. I wrote a book last year and also do blog writing and
Mhm.
just speaking engagements and different things that come up here and there. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a little bit about me.
that's really cool. How are you surviving motherhood? It's hard.
It is, yeah. Being a mother it's a nonstop job. But I am so thankful for each of my children. It's such a gift. Each one of them is,
That's
but it's a lot of
awesome.
work.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. I was telling you how much I love your name. Do they have very unique name like yours?
Yeah, so my name, Karis, is from Greek, the Greek meaning for grace. And so it's from the Bible. And each of my kids has a biblical name also. So it's Benaiah is probably the most unique, Benaiah and Esther and Hannah and Judah.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. That's awesome. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your faith and childhood. Take
Mhm,
us back.
mhm.
Mhm.
Sure. So my parents are missionaries. So we grew up some overseas, which I completely loved. I really enjoyed. We were in Philippines and in Singapore, and I have great memories of both places. And then they were stateside some, but yeah, my parents are both Christians and was raised in a Christian home. And I think at a young age, I also believed in Jesus and had faith and had a relationship with God. And so it really set a foundation for my life. And I think it was after my freshman year of college where so I spent a year in Costa Rica, went to a Bible school, and that's where I think my faith was really solidified, and I took it on more as my own and more as like a daily walk. And
Mm.
but it was, yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
growing up in a Christian home with and moving around a lot too. It prepared me for being a military wife. So
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah,
What
yeah.
is what is your book about? Is it your life journey, the work you've done, and family?
So interesting. I never really thought about writing a book. I about 6 years ago. So I started this journey of chronic health conditions about 18 years ago. I was actually on my honeymoon where I got really sick, and it turned into one thing after the other. But about 6 years ago, I was at a very low point. I had a new diagnosis and I had been in the hospital for some time and was really struggling, not only physically, but also mentally, just really feeling like I didn't even want to live anymore. Just the 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 pain in my body was just so overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And it was during that time where I really felt the Lord speaking to me to start writing. And at the time I really didn't want to, because I felt in such a low place, but I did. I started just kind of processing the years, the pain, the heartache, and the suffering, and also just how God was speaking to me, and how I was just a lot of, it was very therapeutic, I would say, for me, which is interesting now looking back. But I ended up starting a Facebook group and then a blog, just reaching out to other people who are suffering, who are struggling. And it really opened up a lot of just connections for me with other people. And then at the beginning of last year, I felt called to put it into a book. And so a lot of what I had written over the last 6 years, I put that into a book. So the book is called Suffering Redeemed: Finding Strength to Endure Purpose in Pain and Hope for Tomorrow. And it's really just, so most of my struggle has been physical, although it's affected every area of my life, relationships and my mental health, and a lot of different my career and a lot of different aspects of my life. But, it really addresses any type of suffering that we go through in this world, and how do we keep going when life feels so hard, and how do we find purpose when the suffering continues. And it's really founded upon my relationship with God and the hope that comes from that. So yeah, that's a little bit about it.
Yeah, that's so inspiring. And thank you for sharing. I'm so young. I also live with chronic pain and mental health issues, and it's hard. And I never knew how hard it was until it happened to me. As I'm sitting right now, I'm smiling, looking good and fresh, but guess what? My back hurts and I have pain throughout my body. It's just, I've learned to just numb it just to get by, because I have no choice, and there isn't much that doctors can do. Would you say in your situation that you found the help that you needed?
So I think it's a daily struggle for me too. I've seen so many different doctors and tried so many different things. And there's been some things over the years that have been helpful. But overall, for what I am going through, I have a few different diagnoses, but there's no really cure for it. And so really the help, the greatest help I have found is just in walking with the Lord, and finding hope in the Bible and scriptures, and also finding purpose, right? I think I have seen how my struggle has really given me so much compassion and love for other people who are suffering and struggling, and just a way to reach out and to connect other people. And even through writing this book, I've had so many people respond, and so I see it's not like, I don't know, I'm still walking through this, right? It's not like I'm looking back and being like, oh, that was hard and now everything's good. Yeah. It's still a struggle. Every day is still a struggle, but every day it's so much about how we look at life and how we respond to life circumstances, because we always have a choice. Well, we have many choices throughout the day to respond to different things. And so it's, a lot of it just comes back to that. And also not doing it alone. Cause I know I was listening to a few of your other podcasts, and just how, a lot of times when we're suffering or in pain, we just want to be in solitude and keep it in, and maybe out of fear, maybe out of not wanting to be burdened, maybe out of embarrassment. I don't know. There's a lot of different reasons that we do that. But, after several years of trying to do that alone, I realized I can't do this alone. And it's not healthy. It's not good. And we're really because I kept thinking, well, I don't want to be a burden to other people. I don't want to come across as complaining. There's so many people that have it worse, all these things that I would think in my mind. But come to find out, there's such beauty when we find community in our pain and realize that other people actually do want to enter in and carry our burdens with us.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. What would you say to people who have been struggling and suffering alone? And like you said, community, but what would you say to them to encourage them to step out and take a leap of faith and ask for help and get the help and be around people?
Yeah, I think there is such a relief, even in just speaking, even in just having someone. I mean, yeah, people probably can't fix your problems, but even in just sharing with someone else, there is so much. There is such a gift and such a burden that's released when you're able to get that out and share it with someone else and and let someone else enter in. And I think I've just been surprised over and over again to see how willing other people are to want to be included. And I think, sometimes we think, well, I can do it best by myself. I can handle it. That's what I thought for a long time. I can handle it. I can just grin and bear it and, put on the fake smile, which sometimes we have to do. Like, yeah, that's part of life is, just putting on a smile and bearing it. But then there's some times where we need to let down our guard and realize that it's okay. Like, I think the fear sometimes is thinking like, well, I might fall apart if I start letting it out, or I might even just like in admitting how difficult it is, it can be scary. Like, wow, this is actually really, really bad. Like, I'm really not in a good place. But facing that fear and not letting it just torment you for on and on, is the first step to finding healing and freedom and more joy in life, despite whatever we're going through.
Yeah. So you were a counselor. Did you find yourself counseling yourself sometimes?
Yeah. It's so interesting. Yes, definitely. I would think about the things that I was telling clients and then preaching right back at myself, or, letting myself experience the things that I was telling them they should let themselves experience. And just a lot of the giving ourselves grace and freedom to be human, to feel like, because I thought, well, I'm the one who's trained. I'm the one who has a master's in this. I shouldn't be struggling, but I'm still a weak human being, and I need help too, So, and it's good. I think it's good to be humbled and to recognize that, because I think it helps us relate to others better, more effectively when we see our own issues and need to face them. So
yeah. Were there some routines and habits and self-care that you practice to kind of help you through the things you've been through or continue to go through? I don't know if you're going through what you just
so I in my book I actually cover this some, but just the importance of self-care in different areas of our lives, whether it be like our body, our soul, our spirit, so I think when we're under stress, when our body's under stress, however that is coming through difficult relationships or through illness or through career things, just like we were talking about before we got on, you need to practice self-care because you have all these interviews set up. Like we need to give our bodies the breaks. We can't run our bodies ragged. We need rest. And sometimes if you're living with a chronic condition, you need more rest than other people, or you need to be eating a special diet. There's just those things aren't weaknesses, those are things that we need to treat our bodies well and recognize that eventually those things are going to catch up with us, right? Enough short nights are going to eventually catch up. So yes, I think, and for me specifically, I have a very specific diet that I have to eat. And if I don't eat that, I get a lot worse. And so that's hard because so much of social, like food is like, it is so much of social life revolves around food. And so I just had to learn how to adjust that and say, okay, this is for me, this is what I need to do. But I think also another component is just our inner selves, whether you know, just learning how to express the emotions that are inside of us. You know, I think I used to think of all like negative emotions like anger or jealousy or, you know, just some of those emotions that are maybe on the like more negative spectrum. I would try to just hide those because I thought they were bad. I didn't want to express those. And I realized, I mean, there's a healthy way to do it, right? You don't want to be like yelling at everyone, but there's a healthy way to express those hard emotions. And we need to do that in order to, and one of the things that has really helped me is, so that in the Bible, there's a book called the Psalms, and there's a lot of prayers to God, but they're filled with very heartfelt, just raw emotions that really helped me learn how to express what I didn't have words for sometimes. And so that was part of it. And also, you know, our spirit, like we're not just body, we're soul and spirit. And so how do you relate to God, or how do you get connected in your spirit, where you can be receiving life and looking beyond, you know, what we can see, feel, and touch. There's more beyond. And I think a lot of that comes from, you know, where our purpose lies in life. And so, yeah, I think there's so many different things, but it's a daily, like you said, there's things that we have to be doing daily. So I make sure I wake up before my kids wake up in the morning, because I need time alone. I need time to be refueling myself and to be reading the Bible and, you know, be ready for the day. And so that's just something that I have always done for years, is like, okay, there's alarms going off. It's hard to get out of bed, but I know this is going to be so important for the rest of my day. And it really sets me up for the day. So, just finding those, you know, those times where you can be consistent in fueling and refreshing yourself.
Yeah, definitely. What are some advice would you give moms like me? I'm a single mom with 2 kids and chronic health. When it comes to taking care of ourselves, which you touched on, but I think sometimes as parents, especially moms, we don't give ourselves enough love or attention that we need. We put it all on the kids, and we come last. We don't eat well, drink enough. Just the very basic little things we should be doing. We don't do them.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And it's so easy to just let it slide because kids are very needy. And I think there's a lot of guilt that we can carry around as moms, to feel like we're never doing enough, you know, that we're always falling short, that our kids are always needing more. And I think that's where a lot of it starts, is just always feeling like we're not measuring up to whatever high standard we have before us. And so to stop those lies and those voices that come against us, you know, and what I always think about is like, I can't love my kids well if I am not taking care of myself well. You know, if I'm not carving out time in my day to get rest, to get the right food, right, to get fueled up by a different relationship. I mean, kids are great, but I think finding another relationship that's life-giving, you know, that is and finding time to relate to another adult where you can be talking about those hard things, I think is a huge thing. And a lot of it comes down to boundaries too. Like, how are we setting boundaries for ourselves and for our children, so that they know, like, this is my time, and that's okay. Like, kids can know that this time is important, for mom to be getting what she needs. And then I will spend, half an hour playing with you, So I think just having those expectations that we can tell our children, this is what I'm doing, and this is why, because I want to love you better. And I think that'll look different for different people, because for me, like, going on a 20-minute walk is so great. Like, I come back just so happy. It just being outside is something that I love. And my kids know that. So I think we just have to figure out what are those things, and then how can I regularly get those in my day.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And you mentioned diet, right? How crucial is it for us moms to, eat healthy? It's a simple question, but it's also complex as well, because it varies.
I know. And it's another one of those really tricky things that is, it's so hard, because I think there's different extremes that, there's, if you just go to the grocery store, like, I was looking at the label, like the ingredients of different things that I buy regularly, and I could not believe how many preservatives and additives and food coloring and all this that are on, like, like they say, like, healthy, but or like naturally flavored, but anyways, it's just, it can feel overwhelming, because with kids, they like all the sugary and like prepackaged and all that kind of stuff. And so I've had to kind of slowly move us away from that and try to find things that are, because honestly, it takes a lot more time and preparation to make healthy food, right? We all know that. And it's more expensive. And so, I think it's finding, again, a balance of not being like, oh my gosh, I'm doing horrible. Like, I'm, what am I feeding my kids? What am I feeding myself? And, but I've heard a few different people say, like, the 80-20 rule, like 80% of the time trying to eat really healthy, really clean. And then 20% of the time, it's more like, okay, we'll have pizza for dinner tonight. And that's okay. Like, don't feel guilty about it. It's okay. That's how life is. But if we're trying for most of the time to stay in a healthy diet, then it's going to show in our lives. And I can attest, when my kids eat better, they act so much better. So it's like motivation for me too. I'm like, okay, I can see a clear effect here.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Do you have any regrets in life?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I mean, I'm sure, looking back, there's times where I look back and I think, why did I do that? Or I could have done this better. But, I really try hard not to think a lot about the past. I truly believe that God is sovereign, is in control of everything. And even when we make the wrong choices, sometimes it helps us learn, right? Sometimes those mistakes, and I know I've made my fair share of mistakes and done things that could have been done a lot better. But at the same time, I also see a lot of growth. And so I don't know. I can't say there's like specific one or two things. I think I just, I try not to dwell on it a lot. I do try to learn from the past mistakes that I make. But I don't ruminate on it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. If you could see God or Jesus in both face to face, what would you say to them?
Oh, um, that, yeah. So I do have a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would probably ask some questions just about how to fulfill, how to live life to the fullest. I think sometimes I struggle with the particulars. There's a lot of times in life where I come to a crossroads, and I'm like,
Yeah.
asking God for wisdom about how to move forward and what would be best. And I think in those situations, a lot of times God calls me just to trust him, and doesn't give me specific guidance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it would be, I would just be asking about how do we live life abundantly, like in this earth where there's so much suffering, so much hard things, so many things that don't make sense, right? A lot of times it's like there's a lot of things that don't make sense, and we don't always understand those things, which is where I think faith comes in. But it would be helpful, I think, to know some more of the I don't know, behind the scenes,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
understanding some of that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So do you have a Facebook group? Do you help others that are going through the similar things that you're going through, or?
Yeah, so I have a Facebook group called Suffering Well. And then I also have a blog on my website that I update, and just kind
Okay.
of write, as it's not regularly, but kind of sporadically whenever I have
Okay, for
time.
the
And
blog. Oh,
Mhm.
what do you typically write about?
So a lot of it is finding myself in situations. It's so interesting because in my writing, it's not like I just sit down and have writing sessions. I more feel kind of like an inspiration in a certain circumstance, and a lot of it is when so a lot of it has been through this journey, this 18 years now of having a lot of different health problems, but it often opens up opportunity for like life circumstances, and then God speaking often, or revealing to me something, and just how I'm able to walk through that particular
Mm-hmm.
circumstance. So a lot of it, some of it's story based, but then there's also, I think, spiritual truths, and just kind of practical help for people who are walking in journeys that are often difficult and hard to navigate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome that you do that. Is your website the best place that people can find you and what you do?
Yeah, so my website is karismeyer.com, and then also I'm on Facebook and Instagram. So those are probably the best places.
Okay, okay. So is there anything that you'd like to touch on that we didn't get to talk about?
I, you know, so I've been reading a lot of autobiographies about people who were like in the Holocaust, in the concentration camps, and
Mm-hmm.
it really has struck me how a lot of the difference between the people who were able to survive and who were able to endure those, and who didn't, was just this underlying hope and purpose that they felt, that they were able to, I mean, that's like the worst circumstances, right? I mean, but it was, a lot of it was just this, um, yeah, this reason to keep living. Um, and so I think it's just so much of our struggles in life. Like I said before, we have choices to make, and are we gonna crumble and defeat, when life hits us hard, or we can be strengthened through the difficulty and come out stronger. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just those minute by minute decisions that we make, and I think some people look back and like, oh, it's too late. Like I've already made too many bad decisions, or I'm already too far gone. But I would just say, each new day, I love the sunrise every morning because I feel like it's such a fresh start. We have a fresh start to each new day, and we don't have to, like, talking about regrets. We don't have to think about all the things that we regret from the past, but we can start new each day. And there's always hope. There's always hope to keep going. And so that's just my encouragement.
Yeah. What is 2 of your favorite verses from the Bible?
So one of the ones that I've lived with, kind of life verse is 2 Timothy 1:7 that says, God did not give me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And so I struggled a lot with fear for many years of my life, and have just kind of had to walk that out in faith that's not who I am. And then another one is Philippians 4:8 that says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy, think about these things. And that's just something that I try to practice regularly, is like keeping my mind focused on the good, on the many blessings that we have, that what we do have to be thankful for, instead of focusing on all of the negative things that we could. There's so much power in our brains and our minds to really control the rest of our lives and our bodies and how we respond. And so yeah.
Oh, I love those. Yeah. I have one last question for you as we wrap up. What is the meaning of life for you?
So I think it comes from, it's another verse in the Bible, actually. It says, to love the Lord your God with all our heart, and then to love our neighbor as ourselves. And so that's something that we really, my family really lives by, is seeking to love God and to love our neighbor, which is anyone around us, right? Loving other people well. And so yeah, I think that's what I would count as a purpose.
That's awesome. Well, Karis, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.